Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, Shedeur Sanders has ripped a former player at Colorado, and Tyler Barron is back in the portal.
Again.
And we're going to get into all this stuff, but first, I made a mistake yesterday. I was covering Colorado football and Tennessee and a bunch of other stuff, and I made the mistake of saying that Deion Sanders had been at Jackson State, and that's somewhere in Florida. It's actually in Jackson, Mississippi. And boy, the viewer police let me have it.
That's an attention getter.
Yeah, you can't make a mistake on YouTube. You're going to take a lot of grief, guaranteed. But anyway, let's get into these stories. And if you've kept up with Colorado at all in the last little bit, it has been an absolute soap opera over there.
And now for the next 30 minutes, as the world turns.
Yep, it's as the world turns. Sanders ripped Xavier Smith because he'd made some negative comments about Deion Sanders. And I can't blame him for that. I mean, yeah, you need to rise above that if you're the quarterback and et cetera. But, you know, if somebody rips your dad, you're probably going to come at him. And actually, it wasn't that bad, really. Shedeur Sanders isn't taking criticism of Colorado's program lying down. So the Buffalo quarterback responded to criticism from safety Xavier Smith, calling his former teammate very mid in a social media post. He said, "I don't even remember him, to be honest. Bro had to be very mid at best." And we'll talk about Xavier. What happened was when Deion got there, you'll remember he was not real, I don't know if polite's the right word, but he wasn't concerned about them being in their safe space. Let's just put it that way.
Everyone likes me and thinks I'm great in my safe space.
My safe space.
And he pretty much told them how it was.
A different work ethic, a different want, a different hunger, a different desire, a different need, a different capacity. It's going to be a different reach. I'm coming. See, by now you got to feel it. You can feel what I'm saying. You can feel where I'm coming from. And you know I ain't playing because I got the credentials to back it up. I'm coming. And you're going to hear me because it's going to be little solid little footsteps that you don't even have to strain. But you're going to know I'm coming. Just the sake of my voice, the commitment to excellence, that there's not going to be any more mediocrity, period. I'm coming. Some of y'all that really got it, that really want it, and really deserve it, and you got to play beside a fool that don't want it, don't deserve it, they don't even love it. I promise you, it's my job to get rid of it. Coming.
All right, so y'all heard that. I don't really have that big a problem with that. I mean, he was pretty much straight up with him. Now, could he been a little bit nicer about it? Yeah, but you know what? In sports, especially football, it's not all about your feelings. It's just not. And I think he was pretty much just letting them know. And he's a little bit old school. You know, he comes from a place where, you know, you either make it or you don't. And he's got that dog mentality, and he's not going to put up with it. So I didn't really have a problem with that speech. But anyway, obviously, if you're on the end of that speech and he wants rid of you, it kind of sucks. And in here it says, The Athletic said, Sanders recommended Smith hit the transfer portal like many others. He did not. During spring practices, Smith felt more like an extra in the background. During a reality show, said frustration set in before he eventually left for Austin Peay. Smith expressed frustration with how Deion Sanders handled it. Said he wasted a year by staying. He was destroying guys' confidence and belief in themselves. Says the way he did it, it could have been done with a little more compassion. And so when he came out with that, Shedeur said, oh no, hold my beer. And kind of let him have it, calling him very mid, which I don't really take that as that big a smack. But my understanding is that in today's age, that actually is a big smack. You know, I don't know all the slang words. I'm not exactly the coolest cat out there.
Gilbert, let's go to college.
So I think that's a pretty good comeback in the world of Twitter and all that stuff. So anyway, it's very much as the world turns out there. And Colorado is going to be a very interesting story this year. They won 4 games last year. Deion's taken over. He has switched out the entire team, and he's switching out a bunch more because a bunch of kids hit the transfer portal, and he's bringing in a lot more. So this is probably a 2 or 3 year plan that he's on of getting the players that he wants over time. You know, they just had a 5-star leave that really was not playing very well. So he's not there anymore. So it really doesn't matter how good you are or how talented you are. If you're not getting the job done, he doesn't want you there. So again, a very interesting story this year. And of course, they were the story for about a month last year, and then they started losing and people kind of lost interest. But he's been a good hire for them. They've sold a ton of tickets, a ton of gear. I mean, it's really kind of rejuvenated Colorado football, which was down in the dumps. I mean, it was the lowest of the low, 1-11. Nobody cared. Nobody was going to games. Now people are going to games in a major way, and a lot of people will be watching this year. It is not an easy job taking over a program in kind of the middle of nowhere when it comes to recruiting and having to turn it around from 1-11. So a lot of people be watching this, and I will be one too. I can't help it. I really like good college sports stories. Now we're going to get into a story about a Tennessee Vol guy who I was a big fan of. I really liked Tyler Barron. I thought he was a very good player, but he has hit the portal again. This guy's been in the portal 3 times in the offseason. Of course, he was at UT, and he's a very good player. Last year, I think he had 10 tackles for loss and about 6 or 7 sacks. I mean, he was a rock-solid player. Now, he had entered the transfer portal or threatened to do it the year before. I think he got his money, and everything was fine. But I think he wanted more money going into this year. And Tennessee's loaded at defensive line. It is the strength of Tennessee's football team is their defensive line. So I don't think they felt like they needed to pay extra. Or in their minds, maybe he wanted more than what they thought they could do. So he entered the portal. And it looked like he was going to Ole Miss. So he's heading down there. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, he changes his mind. He winds up going and transferring to Louisville. And he's there for the spring, gets hurt in the spring, and misses a lot of that practice. He's back in the transfer portal this time. That is 3 times in the offseason he's been in the transfer portal. That's got to be a record. So now the 2 teams that he's looking at is Ole Miss is back in the picture and Miami Hurricanes. And Hurricanes will throw some money around there. Louisville throws some money around there, and Ole Miss does. So now he's trying to decide between Ole Miss and the Miami Hurricanes. And Ole Miss is going to his home, is my understanding. So what do you say? Hey, good seeing you again. You were just here 2 months ago. I mean, what else is there to say? Here's the amount of money we offered you. Why don't you just take it, come down here and play for us? I don't know what else you do at that point. And Miami's going to be sitting over there going, man, maybe we can pick this guy up because he's a heck of a player. I mean, he's rock solid. But do they want to pay the amount of money that he probably wants? Anyway, I don't think I've ever seen anybody in the transfer. I know I haven't seen anybody in the portal this much in such a short period of time. He just can't make up his mind. But anyway, whoever gets him, if he's able to play, he'll put on a show out there. He'll get his 6 or 7 sacks. He will tackle you for loss. He will play hard. He doesn't go out there and dog it. He will play hard. But I'm kind of in shock that he's been in the portal this much. And this is the thing that so many people were concerned about. But, I mean, in reality, how many kids are really going to do this? Most kids are going to want to try to find their place. And, of course, actually, he's not a kid. He's an adult at this point. He's like 22, 23 years old. They're going to want to find their spot, get their money squared away, and get down to business so they can make more money when they go to the NFL. And this is a guy that absolutely can make it in the NFL. I have no doubt of that. Unless he gets hurt or something, he's got the skill set. Now, he may not go any higher than like the 4th or 5th round, but, hey, that's $1 million a year money.
Comes in pretty handy down here, bub.
Oh,
in your first 4 years, which is way better than you're going to get out here in the real world, I can promise you. And speaking of that, and I'm going to go completely off the rails here, and if you're somebody that doesn't want to hear a rant, humongous, tell them.
Just walk away.
Yeah, I'm going to have a little rant right now about this inflation. I go to the grocery store, I go wherever. It's absurd what everything costs. I tried to go to Five Guys the other day. It was over $20 for a small burger, fries, and drink. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to pay over $20 for a burger this size. It's a good burger. Not putting down Five Guys, but it's too expensive. So I wind up going over to Firehouse Subs, and I got like a turkey ranch, chips and a drink. It was like 14 and something. That used to be about $10 a few years ago. Now it's 14 and change, which is what, 40, 50%? Everything's up 40 or 50%. And I go over to get some napkins. And you folks know what a napkin looks like. It folds and then it folds out again. Well, this is the napkin that I got. That's it, right? That's the whole napkin, the entire thing. So it's 1/2 of what it used to be. That's happening everywhere you go. When you go to the grocery store, everything's smaller. Every box is smaller, but the price is way up. So you've got not only inflation, but you've got shrinkflation when it comes to the size of what you're buying. And I'm sick of it. I am sick of this crap. It costs too much money for all this stuff. Rent's through the roof. Food's through the roof. Interest rates have spiked. And try to pay car insurance right now. This is all nuts, and I'm sick of it.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Yeah, I'm not happy about it. And this has nothing to do with politics. You know I don't talk politics on this show. But I'm just sick of this high inflation, and it makes me mad. And I just had to get that out. I had to get it out.
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
Anyway, if you like this content, please, you probably don't because I just went crazy. But if you like this content, hit this little button right here. It's a subscribe button. I would certainly appreciate it. And right over here's the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay. And I might not rant at the end, maybe. I might. Who knows?